Hola, buenos días. En este video vamos a aprender o practicar el presente progresivo en español. So we're going to practice the present progressive in Spanish. Before we get started here, I just want to say in the description of my video, there is a link to a document. The document has all of my instruction, the text version of it, as well as some verb conjugations and an activity as well that you can do while we're along with this video. So ideally, you would go to that document right now, open it up, and kind of follow along with that while I'm talking, and it'd be probably the best way to do this here. So now that you have the document open, hopefully, the present progressive is used to talk about what people are doing right now. So I am talking right now, you are listening. That's the present progressive. To form the present progressive, there's two steps involved. The first step is first you need to conjugate the verb estar in the present tense, which, if you've forgotten it, it is estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. There is a link on my handout what will take you to a video on the present tense of estar if you've forgotten how to conjugate it. Step two is you need to take the second verb. The second verb is going to be the one that says the talking, walking, eating, running, and what you're going to do is take that verb, remove the AR, ER, or IR, and add the appropriate ending to it. So if you have an AR verb like hablar, for example, and you want to turn it into talking, take the AR off, and I'm going to add ando, A-N-D-O. So hablando is going to be talking. For an ER and IR verb, it's the same. Take off the ER, IR, and then you're going to add yendo to those ones. So comer would become comiendo, and vivir would become viviendo. So if I wanted to use these in context, for example, right now, if I wanted to say I am talking, I would say yo estoy hablando. If I want to say you're listening with escuchar, tú estás escuchando. Maybe you're taking notes with escribir, tú estás escribiendo. And maybe you're eating a snack while you're watching this video, tú estás comiendo. Notice that while I'm doing these, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or if I'm a girl or we're multiple people, it's always going to be comiendo. You're not going to add an S to it, you're not going to change the O to an A, nothing like that. So that makes it nice. There are some irregularities about this form, and I'll make sure to mention them to you right now. There are a couple examples. So the first one is with verbs like creer, leer, oír. Normally, you would think that if I take the verb creer, for example, spelled C-R-E-E-R, so I would take the ER off and add E-N-D-O to it. So I'd have C-R-E-I-E-N-D-O. So now you have those three vowels together with the I in the middle. What you're going to want to do is change that I to a Y. Leer is going to become L-E-Y-E-N-D-O, and construir, for example, would be construyendo, ending in Y-E-N-D-O. These are all in the document in the description. And then there are some other ones that are like that. You'll discover them probably as you're working with this. Now there's one other irregularity that you're going to want to know about. If you're further along in Spanish, like in Spanish 2, you've been learning the preterite, this will be easier for you. If you haven't gotten to that point yet, this will be a little bit harder for you. There's something in Spanish called sandal verbs. And these sandal verbs in the past tense, the bottom two verbs on the chart, the he-she form, usted form, and then the ellos, ellas, ustedes form, they have a change, kind of like a boot verb does, but just on the bottom two. So sandal verbs are all IR boot verbs in the present tense, are also sandal verbs. Now these sandal verbs, if you haven't learned this yet, then your teacher probably won't require you to know it, but if you have, like you're in my class, you're going to want to know this. So all these sandal verbs that have this change in the preterite, in the past tense, they're going to keep that same change in its progressive form. So for example, pedir is a sandal verb where the E changed to an I in the preterite. I'm going to keep that change in its progressive form. So pedir would become pidiendo. Some other examples, morir would become muriendo. Preferir would become prefiriendo. Competir, compitiendo. Dormir, durmiendo. There are others, but those are just a few examples for you right now. And then one last thing I want to talk about is reflexive verbs, because we've been learning these recently in my Spanish 2 class. So what do you do with a reflexive verb? So for example, my students have learned the verb, it doesn't matter what verb they learned. Let me give you one. So I'll give you the verb maquillarse. Maquillarse means to put on makeup. So we got to do something with that se on the end of it. It can't just disappear. There are two options what I can do with it. Let's talk about myself. Say I wanted to say I'm putting on makeup right now. Let's ignore the say, for example. We'll just push it away. We'll come back to it. So the I am is going to be estoy, and then maquillar is going to change to maquillando. Now with the say, you'll do the easier option first. The easier option is to change it to the appropriate subject which if I'm talking about myself is going to be me. So I would have me estoy maquillando. There's a harder option in which you can actually attach that word me, the reflexive pronoun, to the end of maquillando. The reason that it's harder is because now we have to think about accent marks. There's a link in that document I have for you that will take you to a video on accent marks if you want to go into more deep into that. But it would become estoy maquillándome with an accent mark over that A after the double L, maquillándome. So just do the easier one if you're presented with that. If you don't want to work with the harder one, they're both totally correct. So now that you've kind of have an idea of what this present progressive is, talking about what people are doing, I have an activity for you on that handout. I'll put it on the screen in an annotation for you if you want to look at that. You can also do it that way. What I want you to do for this activity is to fill in the blank with at least 2 words. One of the words will be the correct conjugation of the verb estar, and the second word will be the correct change for the second verb into its progressive form. And then, so go ahead and do that right now, and then I'm going to start giving my answers in about 5 seconds here. So pause the video and get going on that. So for number 1, I'm going to have ellos están corriendo en la pista de la escuela. 2. Nosotros estamos oyendo las noticias en la televisión. Notice that with oír, it would normally be O-I-E-N-D-O, but because I have those 3 vowels with the I in the middle, I'm going to change the I to a Y, oyendo. 3, perdón. Tú estás besando mis zapatos. 4. Josefina se está lavando las manos. O Josefina está lavándose las manos. 5. Ellas se están despidiendo ahora. O ellas están despidiéndose ahora. Despedirse is a sandal verb in the preterite, so that E has to take that I change in its progressive form. And last 6, yo estoy muriendo de hambre. And then morir also happens to be a sandal verb in the preterite where the O changes to a U, so I'm going to keep that change in its progressive form. I do have all of these answers as well on that handout for you that I provided. That's pretty much the end of this activity. So again, the present progressive is used to talk about what people are doing at any given time, or right now really. And that's it. If you have questions about this video, or if there's anything that you're unsure of, please make sure you leave a comment or a question in the comment box, and then I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and leave a thumbs up if you liked it.